I'm like Clara. Ever since Clara stopped eating meat, her skin's become so smooth, but she still looks fat. Her belly kind of trying to cover her face. Love LSP. So we did a little song with a Gumball audience to show how good of fans they are and how they know the material. So I thought I'd kind of put it on the line here and see if you guys know this song. I'm going to picture the scene. It's baby Finn, and he's in nappies and in a diaper, and he's in the bathroom. He's looking in the mirror, and he sings a song. And when I throw the mic out, I want you guys to sing it back to me. Because Kent Osborne, the head story's here. I want you guys to show him that you guys are true fans. So, baby Finn's in front of the mirror, and he says, I'm a buff baby that can dance like a man. I can shake in my booty, I can shake in my can. I'm a tough tootin' baby. I can punch all your buns. I can punch all your buns. If you're an evil witch, I will punch you for fun. There are true fans in here. Give yourselves a round of applause. Well done. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome onto the stage Kent Osborne.
Hi, thanks.
All right, so let's.
I like that you challenge them to. Prove
they gotta prove it, right? And so let's start with that song. Who wrote the Baby Finn song?
Geez, I think Penn wrote that, or maybe Natasha. Gosh, I can't remember. Yeah. It was.
But I think everybody knows that song. That's one of my favorite songs.
I think Penn wrote it, and then Natasha boarded out the sequence of Baby Finn. Yeah.
And there's like so many kind of like remixes of that, and also the other favorite song is. Making pancakes, making bacon pancakes.
Yeah.
Classic. It's a classic.
Sure.
All right. And so let's.
They did a mashup with that, with the New York song. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We're going to go into the songs and the music in a minute, but let's just talk about how you got involved in the show first, because this isn't your first rodeo of animation. Let's talk about a little bit your background and how you started.
Sure. I actually. I went to school for acting. I was trying to be an actor, and then I moved to Los Angeles, and I was trying to be an actor, and I was really bad at it. And I started writing scripts that I could act in.
Yeah.
And I wrote a movie that my brother, he's a director and an animator,
Can we just talk about the timeline of that? So how long ago was that, and how old were you? And
It was a long time ago.
All right, okay.
Let's see, this was in the 90s.
Okay.
And in 1999, my brother and I made this live-action movie, and the creator of SpongeBob SquarePants came to see it, and he liked it, so he brought me in to interview for SpongeBob. So my first job as a writer was for SpongeBob, and I was writing outlines, and then a storyboarder left to go to DreamWorks, and they asked me to fill in. And I said, I can't draw. I never went to art school or anything. And they said, just draw stick figures, like draw a square for SpongeBob and draw a triangle for Patrick. And I was like... really? Okay. And then they had, my drawings were cleaned up by people that could actually draw.
Because I'm glad you kind of said that, because a lot of people, I think a lot of people here are people who want to get into the industry and get into animations, and you kind of think, I can't draw, I can't, I got some ideas, but it's a kind of the holy grail. How do I do it? But it's kind of refreshing that you say, draw a square for a sponge, and it can still work, because that wasn't your background animation.
Yeah. But I had done I was a fan of comics, and I had done my own comic book with kind of like stick figures.
Yeah.
And I've gotten better at drawing, but I should be an inspiration to anyone who can't draw. If you want to work in animation, you can, because you have to be funny, and you have to be able to draw. I guess I can draw good expressions, and you have to know how to time out jokes and beat things out. So I was working on SpongeBob for about 4 years. And then I kind of moved around a bit. I went to Cartoon Network and worked on a show called Camp Lazlo. And then I went to Disney and worked on a show called Phineas and Ferb. And at that point, I knew someone from Lazlo, Thurip Van Orman, who had made Flapjack.
Yeah.
And so he was developing Flapjack, and so I went back to Cartoon Network to work on that. And that's where I met Penn Ward. He was, and he had made his pilot for Nickelodeon, for Adventure Time. And Nickelodeon passed, but they put it on YouTube. and it got like 1 million views, and everybody was watching it and like obsessed with it. And then I went to work on Flapjack, and so I started working with Penn, and got to know Penn. And so when Penn started developing Adventure Time at Cartoon Network, he asked me to come work on it. So,
okay, and that early stage of Adventure Time, could you tell us about the kind of the core characters and the story that you saw, first of all?
With the pilot?
Yeah.
Yeah, the pilot was just kind of making fun of, D&D and fantasy. And so, yeah, it's a boy and his best friend, a dog who can stretch. And there's a princess and there's a wizard. Yeah. And, it was very black and white,
Sure.
So, yeah, who knew it would evolve into this kind of rich mythology. And I think at that point it wasn't even set in the future necessarily.
So I mean that's one of the things I wanted to talk about is the kind of the space-time continuum of Adventure Time. So it is set in the future, and there are kind of references sometimes to real life, to kind of like, I think you referenced like Beethoven and at some point. And so there is kind of real life in there. Where is it and when is it?
Well, yeah, it's definitely in the future.
Yeah.
It's about 1,000 years from now. Sorry, I have to burp. I think I have to burp. I
forgot to. Here's some water.
It passed. Yeah. Sorry, I'm jet lagged. This is like 5 in the morning to me.
What the lump?
Oh my gosh. I'll just cover it with fan fart.
I can do this.
Yeah.
Why is this so funny?
I think so. Do you know Ghost Shrimp? He's an artist.
No. Anybody know Ghost Shrimp? No. Yeah.
Do you know? Right. Yeah. He actually designed this shirt. Okay. But anyway, he did all the backgrounds for the show when it started, and so he liked putting in like half-buried police cars and kind of drawing like familiar things from our time in like the ruins of this world. And I think that's what kind of gave Penn the idea, like, oh, it's in the future. Like he just decided one day, like this is going to be in the future.
Okay.
Which I really like, because everything that's set in the future is dystopian, and it's like Mad Max. And it's, or The Road. It's like very depressing. Yeah. But this is so far in the future that, magic has returned, and it's, it's something really nice and hopeful about it. And so, for me, it was like a great appeal to the show.
So you say it started out as a kind of, very black and white D&D kind of, there's a wizard and a princess. And then it kind of takes a massive left turn, and you get things like Breakfast Princess and Hot Dog Princess and kind of like, shows about kittens and kind of, was that always the kind of, the goal or the aim of it to be kind of, so you have episodes that are kind of story driven, and then there's kind of completely left of field stories. Was it always a kind of the outset to make it kind of as crazy and no rules as possible, or how did Penn?
Yeah, Penn just likes funny ideas. Like if he'll come up with an idea, if you pitch an idea, he's like, yeah, let's do that. And yeah, in the beginning, it kind of organically turned into what it is now. And I think Holly Jolly Secrets, which was season 3, which is like one of the first episodes where we started to like show that there's like a backstory to Ice King, and that it was like really tragic. And but that came out really organically. Originally, they wanted us to do like a Christmas special. Yeah. And we were like, well, they don't really have Christmas, and so we were trying to think. We thought, maybe if Finn and Jake found these like old VHS tapes, and Pat McHale, who was our creative director at the time, he was obsessed with like finding like old like Christmas specials on YouTube, and there was one like Swedish black and white like Christmas show with puppets, and it was really creepy. Yeah. And so we were gonna have Finn and Jake watching these like real things. We were gonna like buy the rights, and then it was supposed to be like Mystery Science Theater. Like Finn and Jake were gonna make jokes. And so I spent, a month like watching these things and pausing and trying to write jokes that they would say. And then it just wasn't working, and we were like, okay, let's get rid of this. And then Pat came up with the idea like, well, what if it was like this, history of science, of who Ice King was. And so Pat wrote this whole like monologue of Simon finding this crown and everything. And so after that, it was like, oh, we can do that. Oh, we can. Yeah. Which is always too, like in the beginning, we would, someone would say, oh, Beethoven. And we'd be like, well, we can't say Beethoven. Like, can we? And Penn would be like, yeah, sure. Like, say Beethoven. Which we haven't done a lot. We haven't referenced, I think we've referenced Beethoven, Mozart, Frank Zappa. There's like a Frank Zappa album LSP holds up at one point. and the Cheers theme, which is in a flashback.
Yeah.
Which was my suggestion. I'm very proud of that.
And that made the cut.
Yeah, that made the cut. We had the theme song from Mr. Belvedere. Do you guys know that show, Mr. Belvedere? It's about an English butler that goes to Pittsburgh and.
That didn't make it.
Oh, really? It's a terrible show.
That's why I didn't make it.
Yeah.
But you're talking about things like the backstory of Ice King, and I think one of my favorite episodes is Simon and Marcy. And do you kind of, and I think Marceline and Simon, they're fan favorites. And do you write the episodes based on the fact that you love them as a team, or do you listen to kind of the audience and the fans? Because there's a lot of kind of love for Marceline and Simon.
Yeah. No, we definitely, we're very, when the show started, we would go to Comic-Con in San Diego and see everybody dressed up, and we're all on, various forms of social media, kind of reading people's reactions. And in the beginning, it was really exciting. We would immediately go online and see what people thought and stuff like that. But also, we don't want to just we don't want to do complete fan service, but we are fans ourselves. So, but this Simon and Marceline, that story came out because we were doing a writer's game where everybody writes down 5 characters, and then you put them all in a hat. And then we would just pull out 2 characters and be like, okay, let's write a story with BMO and Tree Trunks or whatever. And so one day we pulled out Ice King and Marceline.
Yeah.
And we were like, okay, Ice King, Marceline. And we realized we had never done a story with the 2 of them, and they had never been in a scene together. They were never in the same room together.
Yeah.
And
well, they are. Any Ice Kings and Marceline, just stand up, because we just want to see you. There's Simon.
Oh, yeah.
Marceline. Anybody in the back? I can see in the back.
Ice King.
Yeah.
Classic Ice King.
Classic Ice King. Yeah,
Simon Ice King. Yeah.
Okay, well done. That's great.
Wait, there's a Huntress Wizard here that's a really amazing costume. Can Huntress Wizard stand up? Yeah, look at that. That's
good. Yes, well done. Let's just go through them.
That's a deep cut.
PB, are you in the house? PB, Princess Bubblegums. Come on, you got to stand up. Let's. Yes, well done. I see a couple of Finn hats. Can you tell me about Finn's hat?
Oh, yeah. As Penn put it, Finn killed a bear. He killed a bear, and it's a bear head.
Yeah.
He killed a bear, and he scooped it all out, and then he put it on his head.
And that was it. But the fact that it was that kind of specific hat, and he put it on that bear, was there any kind of backstory as to why it was kind of that?
Oh, no, I think he just killed a bear.
Yeah, but why was he wearing that particular hat?
Oh, no, the bear wasn't wearing a hat. It's supposed to be a bear head, apparently.
Right.
Yeah, which, I don't know. I mean, that's kind of a joke, but it's supposed to be, that's where he got his hat. He killed a bear.
Okay. All right, so...
I think at the end of the episode where his hat comes alive, and at the end he's like, Jake's like, let's go find another bear. I don't know if that stayed in. Did that stay in? It did? Yeah, so...
Okay, so
he murdered a bear to get his hat.
So you're talking about the writing games that you do,
and
throwing names into the hat. How else do you come up with the different stories? And then
a lot of times the meetings will start with we'll spend a half hour just kind of talking about if it's a Monday meeting, we'll talk about the weekend and what we did and tell funny stories or we'll watch YouTube videos. There's an episode called Time Sandwich. Where Magic Man slows down time to eat a sandwich, and that came out because there's a video online with Paula Deen where they slowed it down. Do you know Paula Deen? She's she's an American chef, and she's kind of horrible. She's racist, but anyways, regardless of that, there was someone slowed down this video of her eating a donut hamburger sandwich, and it's really funny. And I was just watching that over and over, and I was like, oh, we should do an episode where everything's slowed down. So that kind of came out of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times we'll tell stories about stuff that happened to us when we were kids, and sometimes we'll talk about movies. One day Penn was like, I want to do something like Die Hard. And so that's where Princess Cookie came out, because that episode starts with a police standoff, and they're inside. It's a hostage situation. The one with the bear, where there's a bear imitating Finn. I was talking about Talented Mr. Ripley one day. I was like, oh, I really like that movie, and then we decided to do that.
So there's no in terms of characters, there's no rules. There's no kind of Bible or saying from Penn saying it's got to be this, because you got like the businessmen and you know, like I say, like a breakfast princess. I mean, what are the rules for a character?
Usually you check with Penn, or you know, or now it's Adam Muto. He's like the showrunner, and you know, you'll say like, hey, can we do this? And they'll say sure or no. And one day we're at their princess potluck. We need another princess, and I don't know, someone was like, bounce house princess, and Penn was like, sure. like anything can be a princess, which I do the voice of bounce house princess. I don't know if that. She's like, hey, Finn, you want to come inside and bounce around a little? That's me. I'm also Hot Dog Night number 4. I don't know if you recognize my voice. And I'm Joshua. I'm Finn and Jake's dad. Yeah, I do that. Butts are for pooping. You just kissed a boom boom baby. So
does it happen a lot? Do a lot of writers and do different voices?
Yeah, sometimes. Tom Herpick's one of our writers and storyboarder. He does Mr. Fox, and Cole Sanchez does a lot of little voices. So, because usually when you storyboard, you then pitch it to the rest of the crew. So when you go through the board, sometimes if there's like a one-off character and it's just one line, if you do it funny, then they'll be like, okay, you just do it at the record. So,
okay.
And the real voice actors love that when we come in, because they're like, wait, why didn't I get to do this part?
So I want to talk a little bit about the music, because the music is a big part of the show, especially, you know, a lot of Marceline songs and Finn songs. How does that? Do you guys, as the writers, write the songs, or do you get musicians in, or how does it work?
Sometimes. Well, all the sort of background music, or it's Casey Basikas and Tim Kiefer. They kind of do all the kind of like 8-bit like kind of transition music.
Yeah.
The song at the end is by Ashley Erickson, which was just a song that Penn liked and he used. And then Penn wrote the opening song. But then any songs that are in the show, like Bacon Pancakes, that was written by Rebecca Sugar. So usually we'll just write it into the outline. We'll say, you know, BMO sings a song here, and then whoever gets the board is sort of, it's their responsibility to sort of come up with the song. Yeah. And if you can't come up with the song, you ask someone else. And Rebecca wrote a lot of the kind of more memorable Marceline songs.
Yeah.
And then we got her. She, you know, obviously went on to do Steven Universe. When we were doing the Stakes miniseries, we wanted a song for Marceline's mom to sing. So we asked Rebecca, and she, you know, she said, "Oh, I'm very busy, but I'll see what I can do." And then she like wrote this beautiful
it's beautiful
song.
Finding things in the
But man, there's an episode we're working on right now. I can't give it anything away, but there's a lot of rap in it, and there's like 8 rap songs, and we just did the record, and it's really funny.
Yeah.
And Somvalai, Xiaphon, and Sue Kim did all the music for that. So, it's crazy how talented the writers are on the show, because they can write, they can draw, and a lot of them can write music. And then they'll do a demo, so they'll just make something in their apartment with like a keyboard, and they'll sing the song, and then we'll send that to the voice actors, and they'll try to
get on from there.
Yeah.
So you talked about the writing exercises that you guys do in the writing team. So you do the thing in the hat. What else do you do in terms of to get the stories out?
Yeah. Sometimes we play these writers' games where you sort of you have a minute to draw a picture, and then when the minute's up, you pass that to the right or to the left, and then that person looks at the picture and they have a minute to write a story.
So it's like a dinner game, you know, when you said, I went to the shop and I bought strawberries, and then you continue on.
Exactly, yeah. And
but
sometimes
so much better.
Well, yeah, it's okay. I mean, and I have a stack in my office of these games where it's, 99 out of 100 don't go anywhere, because usually you have a minute, you can't think of anything, so you just write something dirty, or you're just trying to make people laugh. And a lot of times it doesn't go anywhere. But once in a while, I brought some examples too.
All right, let's have a look.
Oh, we're gonna do that now. Yeah.
Let's have a look.
Okay. I just pressed this.
I don't know, Steve. Is it? Do we have the power for?
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Okay, so there's an episode called Puhoi. Does anybody remember that? Where Finn goes to the pillow world. So this was a Pat McHale drawing. He just drew Finn with like pillows on his head, and
so that's how it would start. Just somebody would draw that.
Pass it on. You draw it and you pass it, and then the next person writes like an act 1. But that's pretty. I mean, which is great because as a writer trying to come up with ideas, you're like, oh my god, that's a whole episode. That's great.
Yeah.
he builds a pillow fort, he gets lost, and he has to come back. Like, that's it. It's like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then this was a pen drawing that turned into One Last Job, which was about Jake Jr. Pulling a heist.
Yeah.
And then this, we didn't really use the story, but we used this image of Jake as a drill, became Red Starved, which was an episode where Marceline is trapped and she's going to eat Jake because there's nothing red to suck. And that's Rattleballs, the beloved character, Rattleballs. Are there any Rattleballs here dressed up? No? Right.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, that's tough to pull up. And then sometimes you just have really cool drawings that don't really turn into anything, but this was like a cyborg.
Like a cyborg Susan
Strong, yeah. Then this is a cool drawing. They're on like weird, like Star Wars animals or
like bantas.
Bantas, yeah.
So that can't you turn something into that? Like, surely.
I know. I wish. That's a great.
That would be awesome.
This is a pen drawing. Yeah. If anyone has ideas for stories for any of these, just let me know. I drew that. That's surprisingly didn't do anything. Yeah. This one I like. LSP gets legs like the Little Mermaid.
You can't resist me.
Yeah. She has 3 legs, which is, I don't understand. Sometimes they don't turn into stories because they're too dark and heavy.
Wow.
Yeah, this one's about a plague. We didn't do that. That's a Pat drawing. It's a very creepy dude. His name's Ralupo. I drew that. This is more. It's again. You don't have to draw to work in animation. This is one about they're supposed to go to therapy, I guess, because they're dressing like each other. That's a pen drawing. I really like that. They're all getting massages, but then the guys who do the massage just like hang on to them. Yeah, this one we couldn't do because it's a naked wizard, so he turns Finn nude. They wouldn't let us do that. And then the Turd Lords are back. That's just a great. So yeah, I think that's it.
All right.
Yeah. So
cool.
those are examples. Cool. Yeah.
Now, you talked about that episode. Everybody is dead, because that's too dark. But there's a lot of dark episodes, and there's a lot of kind of just strange episodes that just kind of go off on a tangent, like BMO is just kind of this black and white noir detective, and then there's stories that kind of carry on with the storyline. How do you kind of decide kind of how to balance it out in terms of, this is going to be a weird one, this is going to be a story one?
Yeah, usually, so at the beginning of a meeting, we'll okay, we need a new story. What are we going to do? And we'll look at we have them all written up on a big corkboard, and sometimes we're like, we've done 5 kind of heavy episodes in a row. Let's do a really light one called President Porpoise is Missing or something silly, like a BMO story or Princess Potluck. And then sometimes we just, we haven't seen Ice King in a while. Let's check in with him. Where'd we leave off with him? Or we haven't seen Betty in a while, or we haven't seen, Magic Man. Because there's these, this ongoing, mythology with all these different characters. So
there's a lot of characters to keep up and backstories.
Which is kind of nice because I used to work on SpongeBob, and it's kind of that never happens. Every episode kind of stands alone, and it's about SpongeBob, and he works at the Krusty Krab, and he's just the same person every episode. And this, in Adventure Time, it's characters get usurped and dethroned, and start dating and then stop. And so it kind of makes it easier in a way because you can at least it's like a soap opera, and you can keep moving forward. But it's also challenging because you don't know, how do we wrap this up? There's some episodes where the Lich and Finn the Human and Jake the Dog, I don't know if you remember, that had the alternate timeline. And we had written the Lich where it ends, and Tom Herpick boarded this end where all of a sudden we pan out, and Finn is a human and he has a nose and he's playing a flute, and Jake's like a real dog. And we were all like, oh, that's amazing. And then we're like, great. And then we were like, okay, now how do we? Well, okay, we have to get them.
Responsibility to get back to.
Yeah. We're we have to get back. We can't just leave them in this, it was such a great moment, but then we sort of painted ourselves into a corner. So we had to really figure out how to get them back. And and then we came up with wishes. They wish themselves back. So
that was an easy out.
Yeah.
We're
like,
great.
Great.
Get them out.
Yeah.
Push them out. All right, we're going to open it up to some questions right now. So everybody, there's 2 mics down, one on each aisle here. So it would be really cool if you guys make your way to the microphones if you got a question. And while you do that, I'm going to take a question from this gentleman here who had his hand up during Gumball as well. I didn't get to. Sir, what's your name?
Name's Paul.
Paul. What's your question, Paul?
I've been wondering, in a bunch of the episodes I've seen, sadly I haven't seen all of them, so I might be moving wrong here, but do you guys have some sort of grudges against fathers?
Do you have any grudges against fathers?
Fathers. I thought you said farmers. I was like, I don't think so. Yeah, no, a lot of daddy issues with some of the characters, but I don't know why that is. We had a meeting the other day, and Adam Muto was like, I love my dad. Why are we doing this? But no, I don't know. I think there might be some mothers coming up next season.
Right.
Yeah, we might balance that out a little bit, but.
The only good father I've seen got killed by Peppermint Butler.
Yeah. Well, Joshua, he's a good father. I did the voice of Joshua. I don't know if I mentioned that.
All right, thanks, Paul. Let's go to the microphone on this first. What's your name and what's your question?
My name is Patricia.
Patricia, what's your question?
If Finn killed a giant bear just for his head, did Fiona kill a giant rabbit just for their head?
Yes. Very good. Through the distributed property, yes.
That's that question, yeah. All right. So yeah, it's a resounding yes on this microphone now.
I was just wondering, apart from dating, if you had to make anyone get married, who would it be?
Who I would make get married?
Yes.
Oh, geez. Well, we had Tree Trunks got married, right? That was fun. If I had to make, it sounds horrible to make someone get married.
Well, I guess maybe Jake will probably settle down.
Oh yeah, Jake and Lady. I would make them get married. They should get married. They have kids. Do the right thing, Jake. Come on.
And just a quick, where did the whole that they only speak Korean come from?
That was Penn's idea. Well, Ladies from the Crystal Dimension. So, and then all of our animation's done in Korea. So I think it was sort of
okay.
They wanted to give the people that were working hard in Korea something to listen to.
Okay.
And that's Nikki Yang does the voice of Lady, and she also does BMO. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well, cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Back to this microphone. What's your name, sir?
Carlos. I asked a question at the Gumball one. I think I might have 2 questions, if that's okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, first question. You said that you weren't going to put in the cyborg thing, but we saw that Susan was a cyborg in that episode. Was she originally intended to be like an android who looked human on the outside or something, or was she going to be more cybernetic? Was that what you meant?
Yeah, I realized as I showed that picture, I think when we did that picture, we never did anything with it, but then I think it was just a coincidence, or maybe subconsciously we were thinking about that picture, but yeah, there is, we hinted at it in the episode where she's going to find the purple soft drink, you know that one? We hinted there that she hits her head, and so yes, she is a cyber. Yeah, what's your second question?
Did Finn kill the bear when he was a baby, since he has a hat when he's a baby?
Yeah,
very good question.
I guess so, yeah.
Very good question.
Yeah, it was right before he made a boom boom in the leaf. Yeah, he didn't know how to clean himself up, but he knew how to kill a bear, apparently.
Oh, okay.
No, all joking aside, we're in season 8, we're going to answer kind of more seriously where the hat came from. So, but I love that there's so many questions.
Yeah, all right, back to this microphone.
I like the episodes where you have guest animators. I was wondering, when you have a guest animator, who approaches who, and how much of a collaboration is it? Do you work with them to script it, or they just let them do their own thing?
Yeah, that's a great question. So David O'Reilly was our first.
That's my favorite episode.
Yeah, and he sort of knew of Penn, and Penn knew of him. I don't know if they had ever met. And then I actually had just gotten back from Sundance. I was up at Sundance, and David was at Sundance. And then we just coincidentally were in a bar in LA together, and he was wearing a Sundance jacket. And I was like, hey, you went to Sundance? And he's like, yeah. And we started talking, and he said, I'm David O'Reilly. And I said, oh my God. I said, what? And I said, I work on Adventure Time. And he said, oh, I think I'm supposed to. So I like to think that I made that happen.
Yeah. You're bringing people together.
Yes, by being at the bar. But so in that case, it was just kind of, things were kind of mentioned to him, and he kind of liked it. And with Yuasa, I think we reached out to him because we were all kind of fans of his stuff. And Kirsten Lepore, we kind of reached out to her. We said, would you be interested in doing like a stop motion? And she was all over it. She loves the show. And yeah, we actually don't give them any ideas. We just, Yuasa came in and for the first meeting, and he had his notebook, and he said, I really want to do something about the food chain. I want to do something about, things like dying and being eaten by bacteria and then creating life again. And we were like, great. And he had all these beautiful like watercolor drawings of caterpillars, and I think it's in the Art of Oo book. But it was amazing. And so then we said great, and then he kind of sent this 2-page outline, and we kind of went in and like cleaned it up a little and just added some numbers to the beats. And the same thing with David. David O'Reilly just had this idea of what he wanted to do, and we let him do it. And they kind of go off on their own. They get a budget and they go off on their own and make it. And the only thing they really do is come in and they're there for the voice record. So the actors come in, and that's the only thing that's kind of done in the studio, like regularly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, back to this microphone here. And actually, just before we go, just a housekeeping question. If Kate, I want to keep these questions as long as possible, but I don't want to run anybody's time. So Katie, if you're out there, could you just give me a time of how long we can go on for, so we can get 5? Is that 50 or 5? Is that 50, right? That's fine.
4 hours of questions.
A question over here in this microphone.
So I asked a question like this in the Gumball thing, but I was just wondering, what do you think is the best part of creating a character, and what's the first step of creating a character?
Of creating a character? The best part of creating a character? I'm not sure. I mean, I didn't create the show, obviously. Like Penn Ward created it, but sometimes when you're boarding, it'll say there's a character named Shelby. Do you know? Oh, yeah. Shelby. So I was working on that board, and it said, I think it said like Jake goes into the woods and talks to a bug about, to get advice. Yeah. So I'm looking at that, and I'm boarding, and I'm trying to think of what kind of bug. And I was hanging out with my friend Shelby, and I said, hey, if you could go into the woods and talk to a bug about advice, what kind of bug would you talk to? And he went, earthworm? And I was like, that's not a bug, but okay. So I made it an earthworm, and then I got to name him. I got to name him Shelby after my friend Shelby. So that's kind of fun.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So I guess that's, if you create a character, you get to name it.
Yeah.
And when you pitch the board, you get to, after the pitch, usually we'll have a meeting and we'll say, hey, who are you thinking of as a voice? So sometimes you get to pitch an idea. So a lot of the boarders, if they're listening to like podcasts while they're working, they'll say, oh, I really like Duncan Trussell. I think he's got a great voice, and then he'll end up doing, voices on the show. And yeah, I hope that answers your question.
Yeah. You get to put your own imprint on it.
Yeah.
All right, we got about 4 on there and 3 others. So let's go. I want to get through all these questions.
Lightning round.
Let's lightning round. On this side, let's go.
Before Jake had his stretch ability, or behind the scenes, did he had any other abilities before he had the stretch ability?
No. Okay, next. Sorry.
He was just born with it.
He's got a great sense of humor. Level 10. He's got. He's a good friend. Yeah. But
right.
That's his only power.
Next one on this side, in the cap.
Do some of the background characters like Susan Strong, you don't hear him on, do they hang out with other background characters like does Susan Strong hang out with Marceline sometimes and we don't see that?
Maybe. Yeah.
I think you're just giving him some like ideas for spin-offs.
That's a good idea.
So their world keeps going on. It's a maybe.
Sure.
I think. Back to this side.
Well, in most appearances, Finn appears in certain episodes. he is depicted losing an arm in alternate realities, dimensions, or even through time. But it's always one specific arm on one specific side. Do you know why that arm is always, being the one chosen to be cut off and replaced like a plant arm or a cyborg arm?
Yeah, I think the first time we did it, we just chose one arm, and then we tried to be consistent with it whenever we would like show it in a fantasy or show it. Yeah, we always wanted to keep it the same arm just to make it consistent. And then it came true.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's like those arms that constantly dislocate, kind of. It's always that one arm.
Yeah. I guess he's a little
like a dodge, like in Die Hard.
When he was skinning the bear's head, the bear got him in the arm. So.
All right, back to over here.
Hi there. So in the new Deadpool movie, there's like this quick scene cameo with the Adventure Time when he checks his watch and stuff.
Yeah.
I was wondering, A, what you thought of that, because I love that, and B, is that something that they had permission for you guys in terms of copyright, or could they just do it?
Yeah, I'm not sure. That's a good question. I don't know about the legal thing, but I remember before I even saw the movie, like, everyone was talking about it. Everyone was like, Deadpool's wearing a Finn and Jake watch. It's so great.
That's very cool. I mean,
yeah.
Anything is just cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And all the women on the crew were like, we should get Ryan Reynolds to do a voice.
It might happen.
Yeah,
all right. Good question. Back to the side.
I really love I love Finn and Jake, but I even love the adventures of Fiona and Cake. Are you planning maybe to do other adventures, for example, like in the timeline, for example, see Cake settling with the Prince Couple Black Horse, or some Ice Queen and Marshall Lee interaction together, maybe?
Boy, that's a good idea, yeah.
You should write these down.
I know, yeah.
Well, play back the tapes and you can get the ideas.
Yeah. No, every time we do a Fiona and Cake episode, we try to push it and make it more interesting. And we don't want to just keep redoing the same thing. So we try to expand, and we did the 5 short tables where we kind of went even deeper into, but yeah.
Okay.
That's a good idea, yeah.
We got one last one here, and then 4 here, and then Kent's got to go. All right.
I'm just wondering, because you said you wrote for a movie before writing for TV, so how was that transition like? And was it hard, or?
Sure, yeah. So when I started writing, I would write scripts, and you're just kind of sitting there alone in a room, and you're just writing dialogue and action, and then you have to read it back, and it's very different. And then writing for a cartoon, you sit in a room with other people, and you're bouncing ideas off each other. And then all of our shows are board driven, which means we don't even make a script. So we just make like a 2-page outline that has like kind of all the loose beats, like a skeleton of the story. And then that gets handed to a storyboard team, and then you have 2 weeks to like draw it all out and figure out. And you're becoming the director at that point. You're deciding where the camera moves and what's in the background and what the sound effects are. And so it's a lot different than writing a script, but the end result's similar, I guess. But
okay, great.
Yeah.
With the sign.
Okay, so when you're writing a script, how do you decide whether a joke is too old or not old? E.g., an example of an older joke that did get into Adventure Time was when Jake was talking about the tiers of dating and told Finn not to go near tier 15.
Yeah.
How do you decide whether a joke is too old for the show or just right enough if it's a dirty joke?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we don't decide. There's people that work on the legal side. It's called standards and practices, and they'll say, "Oh, you can't say this," and we'll say, "Can we say this?" And they go, "What does that mean?"
It's in.
Yeah. And like once we said, I'm going to murder you, and they said, "You can't say that." And we said, "Can we say I'm going to myrtle you?" And they said, "Sure." So. And Finn used to spit a lot. He spit on Tiffany in like season 1, and then when they started showing in the UK, they were like, "You can't spit anymore," and we were like, "Oh, because I guess spitting is really bad here. I mean, it's bad everywhere, but
no, yeah,
you guys
here.
Don't
we
like spitting.
spitting.
Yeah. So then we tried to have it where Tiffany was like, "Are you going to spit on me?" And Finn goes, "I don't do that anymore." And they were like, "No, you can't even say that." We're like, "We can't even say that he doesn't do it."
But he can spit a little at it.
He spit a little, yeah, spit a little.
Yeah.
But yeah, so someone keeps us in line. But we're not trying to sneak in dirty jokes or anything. We're trying to, we're just trying to write funny stuff. And
that's a good question.
Yeah.
All right, last 3.
I was wondering about, like, because there's a lot of nature versus nurture in the show, and I was wondering if you're going to explore that more with Sweetie and the Lich.
Oh, yeah, interesting. Yeah, we definitely will explore it a little, but I think Sweet Pea's definitely, he's got the Lich inside of him, but he's going to be okay. I think Sweet Pea's going to be okay.
Great, next question. Oh, there's one behind you.
That's such a smart question, nature versus nurture. Okay.
What's your favorite episode?
Favorite episode?
Aw.
These big questions.
Yeah, oh boy. I like Bad Timing, because I like LSP. She's my favorite.
I think she's a lot of people's favorites.
Yeah.
Great.
And I got to board that with Penn, so I think that's my favorite episode.
Good question.
Thank you.
All right, next.
My first introduction to Adventure Time was when you had Flying Lotus do the end credits to one of the episodes for Glitch is a Glitch. Will you have any more musicians do guest music for the show?
Oh, yeah, that's usually up to Adam Muto, who's our showrunner. So he kind of decides what goes on in post. But yeah, hopefully we got another season to do. So yeah, thanks. I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, last question.
Hi, I don't know if this is being answered because I'm a bit late, but will we as fans get all the answers we're looking for, with all the dimensions and everything before the show ends? Or are you going to leave it kind of...
Are you going to wrap it up?
Yeah, we're working on the finale right now, so we're trying to wrap up everything we've kind of set in motion, but, no one's ever satisfied, I think, when something ends. And I'm sure there'll be some unanswered stuff, but hopefully all the big stuff we'll get to.
Cool.
Thanks, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks a lot for your questions. Anything you want to tease us with in the next coming in the finale? You want to wrap things up?
Yeah, the finale, there's something really big that happens in the finale, the episode after the one you just saw. And then season 8 has, without spoiling anything, there's did y'all see Stakes? Did you like Stakes? So there's a possibility that there might be another 8-parter.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, so, I'm very excited about, and yeah, there's going to be a lot of mythology that gets explored, so yeah, hopefully everyone likes it. I'm really excited about it. So.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a big round of applause for Ken Osborne.
Thanks.
Sharing his time.